You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now. Aloha.
Whoa.
we're talking about how we're not in love with this new setup.
Still a work in progress, guys.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress. We just haven't had time.
Yeah, as usual.
We got to hang the sign up. We got to get the sign back up.
The light is on.
Me being on crutches doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all.
Very easy to do things around here. So we're going with this for now. But we're getting close.
I know. It's like a weird setup because it's like you're talking. Well, it's good because you're talking to the people.
Yeah.
People don't want you just talking to me. No, I feel like if you move it, it's going to fall. And it's going to be more disastrous.
Yeah, guys, if you're listening in on Twitter, just give a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up if you can. Just to make sure you guys
and
can
also
hear us over
people
there.
watching the video, please let us know if all is well. I think the sound should be working. Yep, thumbs up.
All right, we got a thumbs up.
And then
from Anon Shop, who's going to be doing
our new
segment.
Please, guys, stay tuned for my cheesy intro segment. It's pretty fun. Not. Oh, someone said Monero Talk, the new setup is legit. All right, cool.
Okay, we're getting there. It's going to get even better. So if you this,
I had to wear glasses because the screen is over here.
We don't even have our light right now. We don't have our funky colors. Oh, you have it turned on the.
Yeah, you just can't see it.
Okay, gotcha.
But we're working.
So yeah, guys, what do we got? Justin would love to be able to.
Well, because
would love to be able to order gratuitous coffee to Canada. Yeah, sure, man. Go for it. We'll ship it there. It's just we're gonna have to charge you more, I think, a little bit for shipping, but shouldn't be too bad to Canada.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And we ship it out of Portland. Right?
Seattle. Oh my God, you keep saying Portland.
Out of
Seattle.
Which you would think is Seattle is coffee land. But that's where our guy is, our Monero guy who does the roasting, Neil. He's in Seattle. So should be able to ship it to Canada at a relatively cheap price. I would like to order Kratom. We are considering adding it. We got sent samples.
We did. We
haven't tried the samples yet.
Again, no time. We forget about it.
Maybe today. We'll try that today. Now is a good time. Like I said, with the ankle and stuff, obviously, it'd be a good time to figure out because I'm off the pain meds, so I'd be able to tell right away if it's working.
Look at that.
What else we got here? All good. Yeah, guys. So we're excited. Monerotopia is coming together. It's like a lot.
Let me pull up the website as you talk. That's why you can't see.
We got a lot of content going on. We were going over it last night, trying to organize the conference a little bit, figure out when people are going to speak and everything. And yeah, I think it's fair to say we can't accept any more speakers. I mean,
we finally sat down yesterday and had a small chance to we were like dying, but we're like, we should figure it out. And thank God we did.
Obviously, still reach out to us if you want to talk or something, because we may create like a second stage. We're creating like a lightning talk section where people just give 5-minute, 10-minute things just to kind of like update community on things. So that we'll be able to get a lot across. But even with that, I mean, there's a ton of content because we have all the day one is jam packed with Monero stuff.
So again, if you thought last year's was jam packed and you were exhausted, don't worry, we got your back. 2 days full of nonstop action.
And yeah, we thought day one would be Monero stuff plus like the agorism stuff, but I think day one is just going to be Monero only at this point.
Yeah,
because we can't really fit it in. And we're gonna have all the different devs speak. Luke, Arctic, VT Nerd. We haven't. If you're listening, please reach out.
We've been trying to get a hold of you because we're saving a slot for you.
Yeah,
so
we
definitely want you on there.
Justin Berman.
And also just FYI, guys, we're probably gonna. I know we put on the website 10 a.m. It will most likely start a little earlier. So again, you're gonna be in Mexico City anyway, so it doesn't matter. But just giving you a heads up. We're going to be changing the time just so we can fit all these amazing speakers. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be starting
probably like 8:30,
yeah.
which isn't too bad. It's not like the crack of dawn, but you know.
And then the welcome party, we thought maybe we'd be able to fit in a talk or two. We haven't figured that out yet. That might just be purely welcome party, and when you come and just pick up your your badges or whatever the hell we're going to give out for people so they can get in on day one of the actual conference on Saturday. So the welcome party will be just a hangout session and a chance for people to register, just so that morning we're not messing around with that. People can just kind of walk in. Obviously, you're going to have some that will need to register that day, but hope is to kind of do that all during the welcome party, the Cinco de Mayo welcome party. But yeah, day one is going to be jam packed with Monero stuff. We got Co, we got Luke Parker, we got Justin Berman, we got Seth, we got Arctic Mine. Who else do we have? That's Monero. We had some others. I don't know. And then we're gonna end the day with probably a panel.
Yes.
Of all the devs that will be up there. We're going to do like a panel with all the Monero devs to kind of talk about the future of Monero. So that should be really cool. The future of Monero tech. And
privacy workshops, we're probably adding more people there. Adoption Alley, probably adding more there. Yeah, guys.
We got a lot.
We kept saying yes. And I feel like, we got a nice lineup. Yes. As always. I mean, last year, thank God.
The other thing is, like we said last time, we're probably going to have to cut off the VIP tickets.
Yeah.
Because everybody's just buying the VIP ticket. We tried to make the conference itself super cheap, $100. But I guess people are like, well, if I'm there, I might as well go to the dinner with the speakers, which I don't blame you. But we're going to have to cut that out because we won't have enough restaurant.
Yeah, we won't have restaurant space. So we will be capping it in the next couple of days. So if you plan on going and want that VIP ticket, you better buy it now. Because sorry.
I mean, with the speakers and everything, we're at like 80 for the dinner or something?
I have more, I think, even now.
Yeah. So which is going to be awesome. We have a really cool restaurant that we have our eye on. We've been talking to them. Originally, we were going to rent out. They have this beautiful room with like this. I mean, it's going to be nighttime, so you won't be able to appreciate the fact that it has this awesome clear ceiling. But whatever, it's still this beautiful, awesome room. But now we think we're going to rent out the whole floor.
The entire floor.
So we'll have our own bar section.
Basically, we have our own restaurant.
It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. And it's right near the conference.
So so like we said, if you buy your tickets today, if you plan on doing the VIP, buy them today because we're going to be cutting it off in the next couple of days or so. And again, if you're looking to be a media partner or a vendor, or just want to help us out because we need help.
Yeah, we're gonna need people to help. We'll give you a free ticket.
We'll give you a free ticket.
Not a free VIP ticket, but a free general admission ticket. If you want to like truly help us out during the conference, there's a lot of moving parts. We already have some people helping us out, but we're gonna need more.
We're gonna need a lot more. So again, please reach out to us, Monerotopia at protonmail.com. And I guess that's all I think about the conference itself.
Yeah, and then we got to talk to Majestic Bank, right? Majestic Bank, if you're listening.
Oh yeah.
He was talking to us on the side and he said something like, right, there's like drama going on whether or not Monerotopia is a community-based conference.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't want to talk too much about it because again, we misunderstood.
But I don't see
very
how it
strange.
can be any more community-based. Yeah. I mean, granted, we didn't raise money from the community, but that should be a good thing. So this is kind of a gift to the community. So we figured out how to do it without asking everybody to chip in $100,000. And then the conference gets paid for with sponsorships and ticket purchases, which MoneroCon also has anyway. People, they charge for the tickets the same amount, if not, right, and they still have sponsors.
Yeah, they still have sponsors.
So I'm not really getting that. It's a shame. Guys, we're all on the same team here, and obviously we love MoneroCon. And
someone's asking. We'll definitely. We're trying to be there, obviously, as our 100%. Media partner, like we were last year. So it was awesome time, and
hopefully they'll let me do some emceeing there again or something.
Oh yeah, you did do it for the first day.
We're
there to help.
I would have done it the whole time, but I didn't want to, but MoneroCon is my all-time favorite conference. I like it even more than Monerotopia because there I'm not running it. I'm just kind of more enjoying it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I was just like a little put off by that rumor. So I don't know where that rumor's floating around or something. But come bring it out, talk about it out here. We knew there'd be some drama.
Of course, it was like clockwork. Last year, same thing.
It's just frustrating, guys, because we put in all this work.
Just embrace it.
Yeah.
Some people take it to heart more than others.
Yes, I think.
But well, let's just answer these few questions because someone's asking how long will the after party be for the Monerotopia conference?
The Saturday night one?
No, I think he's talking about the Friday. I would think. I'm not sure. Monero Maximalist.
No, well, after party. Yeah. Well, Friday is the welcome party.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
We don't know. I mean, it starts at 6. I guess people just continue to hang out depending on where we do it, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing with the after party on Saturday. It probably will kick off at like 8. The dinner will kick off at 8, and we'll stay at the restaurant until they kick us out. And then I'm sure it'll just spill over to people hanging out at some bar or something nearby.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll go all night long. And then but we start the next day on Sunday bright and early again at 8:30.
Yeah, so don't party too hard or party hard and just roll in.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
We'll be sleeping though.
Yeah, I don't know about sleeping. Like last year.
Passing out of exhaustion at some point.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's enough with the conference.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's keep moving.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention? I guess.
People in the Twitter spaces, anybody that's listening in that has comments or anything, just leave a comment in the Twitter space. There's that little comment button. We'll keep an eye on there as well during the show. So if you have any comments as people are as we're talking about things today, throw it in there in case we don't get to the spaces on stage section today, because we're gonna have a long show.
All righty, let's move on to the press report.
Let's do it.
The Monerotopia price report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer. Aloha.
Bawdy, what's going on, man? Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, nothing much, just playing with tech problems.
It's a constant struggle.
We feel you.
I thought I had all my sound issues fixed, and there was one small thing, so I had to default back to the regular. So I can hear my voice on a half-second loop right here.
That's annoying.
So if I sound hesitant, it's fine.
You have headphones on, obviously?
Yeah, I got all that. It's something specific to Chromium and StreamYard combined, because when I use something like Jitsi or anything else, I don't have the same problem. So I was going to try and split them out, where I was basically, my voice was joining from one browser that was not Chromium. And then my charts were going to be from a different browser, but that's, I don't know, it just wasn't working this morning. So,
well, you're asking the wrong people. So good luck.
It's a constant struggle for us. So
yeah, it's funny. You'd think after 2 decades of this, it would just be seamless by now.
Right?
It's painful.
Things take longer than expected.
Well, it's great to hear the show. The Monerotopia conference is coming along that well.
Oh yeah, man. It's going to be epic. I mean, the only thing is we want to try to get a bunch of locals. Any ideas you have, man, to get the word out? We set that ticket price to only $25. So
hypothetically, we could hit the ground, send a group of people that are already local, already familiar with Monero, and then go maybe a month ahead of time to Mexico City and just start recruiting people from the streets.
Yeah, streets or even schools. Someone mentioned actually universities.
Yeah, the local university.
Well, the computer science programs there, or any people that you think might have some sort of interest.
That's a good idea, man. We'll coordinate with you. I mean, I don't know if you're capable of heading over there, but we have to head over there anyway before. So we're thinking of doing it as soon as early March, right?
Yeah.
We might head over there because we gotta talk to the venue again, make sure everything's seamless and ironed out. So maybe we'll do it at that time, and then that's
a really good idea.
Yeah,
it's kind of loose in Mexico, so you really have to
follow
and then follow.
Yeah, we're not taking chances with this, so we're gonna go down there, have personal meetings again, more handshakes.
Yeah,
give them more money. Be like, here's the final payment. Just don't screw us over.
Because then everyone's going to be hanging out outside of this venue.
They're so lax about it. They're like, yeah, no, we know. We're like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't inspire confidence sometimes.
Yeah, but so we'll probably do that, and then when we're down there, we'll hustle around trying to get the word out locally. We're gonna hire somebody locally to print up flyers and the posters and put them up. Maybe that will help a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea about going down to various engineering schools and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone mentioned that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of schools there, I would think.
Very
yeah. Once again, anybody who's local to Mexico City, if you're listening, reach out. Please do. Email us, Monerotopia@protonmail.com, if you want to help out anyway with getting the word out. All right, man. Take it away with prices.
Take it away, my
Exciting
friend.
as ever, right?
Okie doke. Yeah, price is doing really good. So I guess we'll start with Bitcoin today. And everything looks really good. Let's go to the weekly. Oh, actually, that's total. All right, here we go. Bitcoin. So I always like to start with the zoomed out view as usual, so we can get our bearings for some of these lines so that we don't feel too schizophrenic. So you've got this this lower line down here, and it's basically, it's like the only way you could really draw this line that would be all that meaningful. Maybe we could try and draw this line that I just drew as well. But you know, I do like this connection point down here. We cut through the secondary low, touched the March 2020 crash, and so we're going to zoom in, but now you can have your bearing for what that line is down there and why it's important. And then we've got kind of our various bear market resistance lines here. And the very last one that we could draw, like the most shallow way we could draw this, is to connect these points right here. And then so that's basically where we just barely broke. I think that was yesterday we broke that. So a lot of people were saying, let's go back to the daily. A lot of people were saying that this wick right here was just a blow off wick. To me, that does not look like a blow up wick at all. So everything's looking really good here. You can see that this was our like pre-doom FTX crash levels, which is why I have this horizontal line drawn here. And last week we were talking about how we got up to this area, it was resistance, and then we were hanging down at the very top of this range just before FTX broke down. So the fact that we bounced off that level so strongly is such a good sign. Now, probably there was a little bit of help from the market makers to make sure that happened. But what does that tell you, right? It tells you that they want to paint the chart in a way that inspires confidence. And they haven't really been painting the chart this way for the last year. And my guess is because the leverage was unwinding, they knew that things were going to go down further. So we can go down to a little bit shorter time frames. Yeah, you can basically see that we essentially regained that channel, that kind of rising grind line that we were in for really since early January. Right now, my anticipation would be that we probably consolidate in this range for a while, and with the potential that we might actually pop above that and then really go off to the races. The August pump, the top of the August pump would be right here, that dotted line I just drew. And technically, we just ever so slightly got above that. So it's not really a break, but that does inspire some confidence, again, that we actually got above that line. So everything looks really nice right now. If you remember last week, I was saying that this is probably a good opportunity to pick up some positions. If you didn't get long back in early January, this is basically the dip that you're looking for. So hope people bought extra coins there, particularly their shit coins. We'll get to Monero in a bit. I know Monero hasn't been entirely inspiring in its price, but it's not that bad. Okay, so here's total. And total is basically the same story as Bitcoin. We've got kind of our various bear market resistance lines. The difference here with total is that it took us a lot more time to get above that pre-doom, the FTX doom levels. So we stayed there, basically couldn't confirm above that level. You can kind of see that, like, technically we had a couple closes above, but every time they kept falling back down. But this time we finally strongly broke it, bounced off, and then came back up. So that's all really good. Like, it's exactly what you want to see if you're going to try and make the bull case. So at every moment, we've just been able to see continued strength. And I really do think this should continue overall for at least the next month or so, maybe even longer. Just to be clear, though, I don't think this is like the real bull market. I think this is like a 2019 echo boom. At some point, I do believe later this year, we're going to have to come back down, contend with the lows, maybe 20K-ish. But we'll get that, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We can also take a look at Bitcoin dominance. Now, I drew a few lines down here. For now, we'll ignore the descriptive statistics. So you can see what's happening here. It's easier if we go to the daily. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically when the bull market really kicked off, and really all the shitcoins kicked off in May of 2021. And then Bitcoin has just been range bound between this lower line down here and obviously this upper line right around just below 50%. So you can see that there's this there's this line right here, and it kind of was a trend line, and then it started going parabolic, right? Every time you have to redraw this line. So at the moment, I would basically expect Bitcoin dominance to keep running. It wouldn't be surprising to see this make all the way back up to the top of this range here. The other thing that would tend to support that is looking at the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio. So there's a big fundamental thing happening with Ethereum that could drive some relative price performance towards Bitcoin over the next about a month. So everyone probably remembers the merge back from August. And the problem is that they went to proof of stake, but no one could move their stakes. Everyone's stakes were locked. And everyone knew that that was going to be the case going into it. So they're finally getting around to unlocking stakes. They already released to their first testnet. They're supposed to release to their other testnet on the 28th of this month. And then after that, sometime in March, everyone's stakes should be unlocked. Now, these are people that have had their stakes locked for I think it's been a year and a half. Maybe it's 2 years. At any rate, these are people that have seen their stakes locked for a long time through a brutal bear market. So it is reasonable to expect that some of these people are probably going to bounce out and cash out. I mean, even if you don't want to, sometimes life just gets in the way and you just have to sell. So overall, that should be like a bearish fundamental approaching Ethereum's price right now, or at least relatively speaking towards Bitcoin. The other thing is that you can see we've got the very long-term chart and this very obvious line that we can draw right here. We're basically riding on that. So long time, hit it, and then the time frame between touching this line is compressing. So this very much looks like a line that would tend to break down right here. And that doesn't mean that that it's doomed for the ratio, which is all the Ethereum doom porn that probably the maxis love to engage in. But at any rate, we should pretty much expect this to break down. You can see that it already kind of barely is breaking down. So that's kind of another reason why I'd expect Bitcoin dominance to continue performing right here. I would imagine that there is a possibility that this could be temporarily bearish, and then people will say, oh my God, here's my opportunity to get into Ethereum, and I can even stake and make X%, and then I can move my stake whenever I want, so there's no danger that it's locked there. And you might see kind of a violent reaction. So we could see some kind of breakdown here. Maybe find some bottom. I don't know. It could be here, right? Maybe it even goes all the way down to this line somewhere. But overall, I don't think this spells doom for Ethereum. It's kind of in my mind, the final test that we need to see that proof of stake is actually viable for Ethereum and it's not just going to totally destroy the network. When everyone's stakes are unlocked and everyone has a chance to leave, if the network is surviving and it's fine and they're not having weird attacks or anything, we see that happen for, let's just say, 6 months. There's a very good chance that Ethereum actually did it. They actually made it to proof of stake. Now, I know there's a lot of philosophical objections and whatnot, but it's more like a survival thing. Will Ethereum survive? So I think that the answer to that should be yes. I mean, at a minimum, these guys are really smart, and I do think that they have the support of a lot of traditional finance. I do think a lot of traditional finance would prefer to move some of these legacy financial systems onto something like a distributed virtual machine. That still would be many years away. They have to stress test everything, which is part of this whole DeFi craziness. They have to play finance. But we're going to see DeFi round 2 whenever the real bull market kicks off, and that'll probably be maybe next year. We'll see. We have to play it by ear. It's really hard to call anything farther out than a few months, or maybe 6 to 9 months at most. So as I say, we'll reevaluate in real time. So yeah, this is why I think Bitcoin dominance will continue performing. So that's kind of the overall broad crypto market. Monero is continuing kind of a slow, steady movement up. It's not going up as much as everything else. And one of the reasons you can see very clearly is that for the past few days, all of the exchanges have kind of been in negative price divergences. So essentially they're selling Monero at lower prices than Kraken, and they're selling a decent amount of it. So again, as I've said over and over again, I believe this is largely a psychological game. They've proven that they're out of Monero. So they've had to go through these cycles where they acquire. We get really good, strong price performance. Typically, when the crypto markets are not very exciting, we'll see the exchanges scoop up a bunch of Monero. So for example, here, we just went to the rolling 10-day average of this chart. And you can see that for quite a while, for pretty much all of this year. Let's zoom out a little bit, make this easier to see. So Binance is in red, and I tend to put more weight on Binance. The other exchanges are, I mean, Binance isn't reliable either, but if they're not reliable, the other ones are like, how much worse are they? So at any rate, you can basically see that Binance went into positive divergences for most of the year, kind of came back to even, and then they made some kind of reaccumulation not too long ago, but then this slope down is kind of the last few days of them just, I think they're slightly suppressing price right here, but they only did it because they were able to accumulate, which kind of pushed price up. And my thinking is they love to accumulate during the quiet times, trying to keep the psychology and the sentiment quiet about that. And then when they start pumping price with the leverage, with the stable coins, with the hype, whatever, then they kind of slowly dump that into Monero to try and limit those price increases. And that creates psychological effects. And I saw some of them actually yesterday on XMR Trader. So it's just a reality. We just have to accept that. But I mean, I really am not worried for Monero. I think everything's quite strong. There's another factor that could be weighing here on Monero's price just a little bit. Darknet markets have been largely shut down. They've been having a lot of problems. Law enforcement has been getting the upper hand on that constant battle. So that could be having an effect here. There might not be quite so much demand for buying and using Monero. We'll see. I can't remember, someone on Reddit or maybe on Twitter, one of the Monero peeps was talking about their speculation on which next darknet might be the big one. So at any rate, we still are above the 0.006 levels on the ratio. And so, my line, oh, there it is. Okay. So let's go to the weekly. This is starting to get too cramped. Okay, so at the bottom here, this was our bear market, our last bear market, and we're still sitting above those levels right here. So as we talked about, after we broke down this wedge, this structure right here, it seems very plausible that we might have to come down and visit this line right here. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, again, this is why I go play in the degeneracy, right? They drove me over there.
What is that? What is that line? What is the number? The ratio?
Oh, this line, that's 0.006. So 0.06% of Bitcoin's price.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's why my lines are acting weird. I got to zoom back in. There we go. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to play the degenerate shitcoin game and then roll those profits into Monero. That's what I like to do. So at the moment, we've got this like broadening structure right here. So very likely to imagine that we're going to come back up to the top, particularly if the rest of crypto continues performing. Now, it could be the case that we might need some consolidation time. Like well, let's not get that one, skip Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's probably going to be one of the better performers, at least of the OG coins. Yeah, so before we break this this August top right here, it seems likely that we might need to get here and kind of hang out, maybe break that channel right there, and then at some point get above that. And that's kind of when the smart money might end up being forced to buy, the quote unquote smart money. I was listening to a really popular podcast, and these guys are like venture capitalists and whatnot. And one of them has connections into like traditional finance and family offices and smart money. And he was saying that this pump across stocks and crypto and everything, it took all of the smart money by surprise. None of them expected it. And he said, and now all of them are saying they're going to have to buy higher. And I really do think that that's on purpose. I do think that market makers love to accumulate at times that seem unlikely, and then sort of force the rest of retail and smart money sort of augment the trade that they already made. So in this case right here, they were basically accumulating. They put a floor on the market right here, and then they spent this time accumulating, and people doubt this pump. They expect it to go down. The shorters get wrecked, and then it pumps again. And then right around here, you start seeing smart money say, oh crap, the chart structure has changed. The TA has changed. Maybe it's time for us to get back in. So I do think that's on purpose. You just kind of have to be aware that those games are happening. The funny thing is, some people will be like, everything is manipulation and the price is totally controlled. And I 100% don't believe that. It's a factor. It's a big factor. But retail and a lot of the smart money, traditional money, they do make up a significant component. And you just kind of have to understand that there's multiple things in play. Now, let's go look at stocks. The S&P is doing pretty good. The NASDAQ's doing pretty good. So you can see on the bottom here, I have the Z-scores. Again, this is like RSI. And if you remember back last year, we were talking about how the formation of divergence was happening here, where we had lower lows for price, but higher lows for the Z-scores. And Z-scores are like a statistical metric that you ask how far away from the moving average is price. And you could say, well, which moving average? And that's why you can see, there's a bunch of different lines here. It's like 6 different lines because these all represent different moving averages. So Z-scores will naturally tend towards 0. And ultimately, they act very similarly to RSI. They're like a momentum indicator. So I just wanted to show you guys again, it's been a while since we've looked at Z-scores, that they continue to trend in a positive direction. That continues to give us the indication that there's strength in these markets. We still got this level right here that's fairly important. That was the first place that price crashed down to after the top, which was actually in January for, maybe it was December, January for the S&P and for stocks. So I think we did talk about this a couple of weeks ago where we said that this line is important and it's probably going to require some consolidation and chop right here. Before it actually breaks. But when it does, I mean, it's going to be game on directly to this level. And then the real question will be whether or not that level can get broken and we can make it up to kind of like the next major point of resistance. I'll be getting nervous once we get above this area, right? You can see 43.11, 43.24. I'll be starting to get kind of nervous about definitely taking profits once we get to that level. And I mean, not in stocks, but just in risk in general, since it's all correlated. NASDAQ looks very similar. You can see, again, the Z-scores, you can see they're making higher lows, even as lower lows were being made for price. And again, also at the NASDAQ, they kind of broke their main final boss bear market downsloping resistance line, stopped at kind of a very natural place to expect that price would stop. So everything there looks pretty good, might just need some consolidation. Or for all I know, it could just pump next week, right? That's the point of trying to get in at the best entries you can. And buying when there's blood in the streets. Because if you bought down here or in crypto, if you were buying all the way up on this pump, you're sitting pretty right now. You're like, I'm fine. I can just wait. I don't need to worry about trying to get the best entry or trying to buy the dip. That was the point of buying down here. Now you can just chill. You don't have to worry too much. So nice. You take a quick look at the macro. Look at gold actually first. So the funny thing is that when people were talking about that exhaustion wick on crypto, when it pumped a couple days ago, I was looking at this gold wick here, and especially this most recent one. These are like 100% exhaustion wicks. Oh, I mean, I shouldn't say 100%. It's trading. Nothing's 100%. But these look very much like exhaustion wicks to me. So I very much expect gold would come back to the top of this trend line. This was kind of a very important area, as we talked about before, because not only was this kind of like an interim peak, but if you go all the way back to 2011, that was also the top right around there. So gold looks good. It kind of took an unexpected dip. Well, I mean, at least for me, I didn't expect it to dip quite that much. But, it's fine. It should continue performing, especially if the rest of risk is performing. We can look at the 10-year yield, and it kind of hit a natural resistance point. What we want to see here is stability. We don't like this going up really quickly. That's not the best kind of action we want to see. If that were to continue, that might be concerning. Or if it like whipsawed back down, that would also be bad. So I think generally what happened with this recent move up is the market is pricing in the Fed raising slightly higher than 5%, even though the Fed didn't say they were going to do that. But the market, I don't know, they're always trying to guess the forward guidance. So that's just how those guys are. Look at the dollar index. This one we broke up through that channel. You remember we talked about that would have been a good opportunity to go down, but apparently at this moment, it doesn't necessarily matter that the dollar is stronger than other currencies. Crypto and stocks seem to be performing pretty well. So I don't really have any big opinions on what happens here. Maybe it could just trend sideways kind of down that line and then continue up, or it could just come up straight away. And I don't have any strong opinions on what happens there with the dollar, but it's not necessarily prohibitive to price bumps or anything. All right, we got oil. Same thing with oil, as we've said for quite a long time now for the past few months. We really just want it to stay inside this channel. We want it to be stable. That's good for the economy as well. And then reverse repos, they're basically slowly, barely trending. This almost slightly looks like kind of a bottoming structure. So I don't know. Overall, you would look at this chart and say that this chart is downtrending now. It's in a fresh downtrend. So there's not too much more to say about that chart. And the last thing I want to show you guys is the velocity of money. So imagine, let's suppose you're a waiter and you get some tips. Let's suppose you have $1. You got $1 in tips. And then you pay that $1 to an Uber driver, and then that Uber driver goes and buys a hot dog. So that $1 might have changed hands 3 times that day. So you might be able to say that $1 has a velocity of 3. So the quickness or rapidity of which dollars move through the economy, how often they change hands, that's known as the velocity of money. Now, we saw velocity absolutely crater with the COVID. So, oh crap, I don't know if I should say that. They might kick us off the YouTube. Sorry, I didn't mean it, YouTube. But anyways, velocity started to pick up, and that's kind of a sign that the economy is picking up again. It means that people are producing stuff and manufacturing is happening. And you can actually see that this chart has been going down since the late 90s. And I tend to think this is probably because of the hyper financialization of the economy. People, instead of putting money into productive endeavors like business and production manufacturing, they just put it into the financial sector because that's where the most money is to be made. So it's kind of an unfortunate reality of our economy. But perhaps this is a bottom. There's a guy named Russell Napier who has this theory that the government needs to get the debt to GDP ratio down, and the only way to do that is to pay for it with inflation. So he expects that we're going to have high inflation for quite a long time, because this is basically what they did to get debt to GDP down after World War II. And whether that's true or not, I'm not quite sure. But he does say that will bring back a lot of manufacturing jobs to the U.S. But at any rate, the velocity ticking up here, and you can see this is from October of last year. So it's like a quarterly report. But I would expect with the economy, the way things look, this should probably keep ticking up. And that's basically a sign that the economy is continuing to improve. And that's good, right? If we don't see a recession, there's less chance that we have some epic crash in the stock market or crypto. So yeah, that's kind of where I see things are at right now. Everything looks good. I hope you guys picked up your positions in your shitcoins because it's that season, at least temporarily.
All right, man. Amazing as always. Very comprehensive. So did you end? I know a few weeks ago you had mentioned like Bitcoin was topping out. I think when it hit when it was nearing 25K. Were you able to make some good moves there and kind of get out and get back in?
I took some profit, and not on Bitcoin, but on shitcoin. And then I went to Anarchapulco, and I was like, it actually kept on pumping. It pumped so much, I was like, okay, the responsible thing here to do is to take profit. So I did, and then it pumped some more, and I was like, well, crap, okay, it just broke a bunch of levels. I'll get back in on the dip. And then I went to Anarchapulco, and I saw it dip down to my buy level, but I don't bring my crypto and my trading stuff.
Yeah, that's how it happens. It's always at the worst time, right? Is that? Yeah. That's what.
But I got back into it. I FOMO'd back into it a few days ago. So
okay, sweet. All right, man. Amazing as always. All right, but let's keep it moving.
Okay. Yeah,
Bawdy, please stick around if you can.
Thank you so much, Bawdy. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Adios.
Okay,
bye.
Ciao.
All righty, let's move on to our guest segment. We have a special guest today.
All right,
let's get her on.
Get her on. One of our favorites.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys. Hello, Nam.
Nam, what's up?
I think she was having a little...
She's muted. No video.
No, I think she had video before, but I think she's having a little trouble with the audio for some odd reason.
Okay.
Let me message her right now.
We could jump to something else if she's having issues.
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe jump on to the news, or what do you think?
Let's do the dev. Let's do the dev.
Ooh, our new little segment. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That sounds good. All right, we're gonna remove Nam for a second. She'll be in the waiting room.
Our new segment.
Our new segment. Hold on, I'm gonna put on my cheesy little intro.
I want to wait for the news because I wanted Nam to be there to chime in for responses to news.
Okay. All right, let's put on my awesome segment, guys.
And now for the Monero Development Segment.
Hello.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Long time.
Pretty good.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome.
Yeah, so we should say DGoon reached out to us, and we had him on the show like 2 weeks ago. He was talking about Anon Shop, which I think is awesome. And then he reached out. He's like, hey, what do you think of adding a segment where we talk about weekly updates in Monero development? He's like constantly listening in on the chatter. He's got the skills to understand what's going on. And I was like, hell yeah, that's amazing. So take it away.
Take it away, my
friend. I love this. This is fantastic.
Oh, hi. Yeah. Hi, I'm DGoon, and this week in the Monero development was very interesting. We got a bunch of overflow from the whole Bitcoin NFT space. So this week has been very interesting. Let's get into it. And it's just a quick overview of like very high level some things that happen. You got Further Wallet, which is a great wallet. It offers like things like coin control, get some updates. P2P pool got some updates also. And there were some general Safaris and Jamatis update stuff. But the biggest thing was definitely the biggest debate was the add a size limit to TX extra in the transaction pool, which was definitely the biggest thing. And I'm going to spend most of my time talking about that. So the hot topic was the fact that Monero does not limit the amount of data that you can embed in the blockchain via the TX extra functionality. This has been abused by people, and people have placed entire PDFs, files, and other things onto the chain. And this use of TX extra hurts Monero's privacy and clogs the blockchain. And pretty much this is like just how you can embed data into a Bitcoin transaction. You can do the same thing with a Monero transaction. It's not as easy to do because Monero's outputs are not public, but you can still, for example, throw I'm so excited for Monerotopia onto the Monero blockchain, and that will be stored on the Monero blockchain forever.
Well, that should be allowed. I mean, we should at least allow that one, but nothing else.
Oh, okay. Doug has a strong opinion. Okay.
That was a joke. I totally missed the debate here. I didn't tune in, but I heard it got kind of pretty heated, right? There was Monero Moo, I think, was throwing some strong language around to other respected people in the community.
Yeah, there was. I feel like that comes with any. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not worse because anyone can join and anyone can comment, right? There's no filtering. I don't think they censor anyone. So
yeah,
for being completely open to the community, it was pretty tame. But yeah, it got very heated. Some people talked about how they question the process, like how open is the Monero's dev process? Is it just a core team dominating the space or things like that? But that's like, I guess, more political. But it definitely, that talk was definitely there.
Yeah, I interviewed Sergey, the guy who created P2 Pool. So we talked about it a little bit this week on the show because he's saying that's one of the, like P2 Pool, for example, kind of relies on TX Extra to function. So like to completely deprecate it, there would have to then be some other solution there for that. Just as an example of like how it's used, in positive ways. So where do you see kind of consensus going on this?
That would be on this slide here.
Oh, okay, so don't throw you off. Go ahead, do your thing. Go through your motions. Yeah.
No, you're good. I just want to go in and say that this isn't a new issue. For example, there was a pull request placed on the Monero repo by another dev who basically said we need to get rid of this. And in 2020, Fluffy Pony was like, I'm perpetually worried about someone wanting to pack stuff into TS Extra unnecessarily. So, but that pull request didn't really go anywhere. So I guess people sort of forgot about it. But like all the Bitcoin stuff sort of brought it back up to the surface. And someone was like, hey, people can put arbitrarily large amounts of data on the Monero blockchain. We should probably address this issue before we get something like Monero NTF or something like NFTs or something like that. And as far as the solutions go, there are, I would say, like 4 main ones, right? So you can pretty much say, let's get rid of all the transaction data, like TX Extra. And that's attractive because it cuts down on the chain sides. Because right now, every Monero transaction uses this transaction extra, to pretty much add like a dummy payment ID into it. So that method is a little outdated, but it's there so that everyone's transaction looks the same, right? Because if someone's transaction sticks out, then that can hurt privacy. So right now, currently how Monero works, if you're sending just a regular transaction, you have a payment ID that's in the TX extra already. And someone commented in the chat that that's really bad because you're pretty much paying for this feature that you're not really using, right? So that was one opinion on that. And number two is to cap this data. Like Bitcoin does it indirectly by capping the block data, right? I think the biggest block you can be is I think like 4 megabytes right now, but Monero doesn't have any block size cap due to dynamic blocks. But I think it's good. But in theory, you can shove an entire PDF onto the Monero blockchain, which has happened in the past. So the number two consensus was to cap this data. You would limit to maybe like 1 kilobyte, and you would say, oh, you can put any data you want here. It could be 1 kilobyte capped, or the network won't accept it as a consensus rule. And number three is make every transaction have similar looking data, which is sort of what they do now, but they also want to add a cap to that also. Like Zcash does this. They pretty much put data there and it's capped and it's encrypted, and every transaction has it. Am I moving too fast?
No. 3 sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree. And then number 4 is just leave this feature as is, which was more popular than you would think. Because the argument for this one is that if you're trying to prevent people from putting data onto the blockchain, they will just do something else that's more inefficient and worse for the blockchain. Like let's say you cap it to a certain size, right? Well, now if I wanted to put a PDF on the blockchain, I would simply do it over like 20 transactions, right? Which would be worse for the blockchain because now you have 20 decoy, you have 20 transactions that can hurt the privacy of Monero, and it costs a bunch of money and it clogs up the chain more versus just letting them do it in one transaction and getting that data out. But that was an opinion that was given. And then most people, like I said, lean towards number 2. And then number 1 when the Safaris hard fork happens. And these issues are really hard to address with Monero because Monero you can't really have a soft fork in Monero because it hurts privacy, right? Because a soft fork is basically when you have a fork in the chain and then one chain does one thing and one side of the chain does the other thing. You have that because that would harm privacy. You can't really have a hard fork either because that would pretty much be like sort of commandeering. Like you come in and it's very intensive, right? Hard forks take months to plan for. You have to update all the wallets. Like Cake Wallet have to update their nodes and stuff like that. So you can't just have a hard fork, everyone get their stuff together, unless it's planned. So the deal right now is to have a short-term fix where the transaction size is limited by the pool size, essentially. So basically, the likely solution is going to be that when you broadcast a transaction, the nodes will limit how big that transaction's TX extra can be. And that's a really smart solution because it avoids a hard fork and it avoids a soft fork. And that's pull request 8733. So that's going to be the more likely solution. But
explain that again. Just summarize that again, what that pull request is. The
pull request basically says if you're a node on the network, do not broadcast a transaction that has a TX extra size that's more than 1,000 bytes, basically. Okay. And it's not a consensus rule, right? So you don't need a soft fork, you don't need a hard fork. No one has to upgrade all their. No one, even if some people don't upgrade, that's fine. Because it's like if you have half of the nodes upgraded, that's fine because the transaction probably won't propagate through the network. So that's a pretty good solution. But like in the long term, people are still debating what happens between these major 4 options, and whatever is decided will probably be rolled into the Safaris hard fork. So that's going to take a lot of work, a lot of coordination. So they're just going to pretty much delay any major change to that solution.
Right, because there'll be major changes happening anyway at that time, or because it also makes sense to do it at that time for other reasons? Is there other reasons why it makes sense to do it with Seraphis, or?
Because it's also easier, but there's also people working on different techniques to encrypt that data and work on different things like that. There's several proposals going around where like, oh, we can do this with this data, we can do that with this data, we can encrypt it this way, get these advantages. So it just needs a little more work also, and the fact that it's also going to be much easier to throw all these fixes in. But this doesn't really solve the problem, right? Because someone could still mine a block and pretty much put whatever they want on the Monero blockchain. So this only prevents it from being propagated through the network. But if you're a miner, you can put whatever transaction you want in the block and mine it, and it's up to you, right? So this doesn't really prevent people from mining, especially since Monero is much more accessible to mine than something like Bitcoin. Because if you're in Bitcoin, right, you got mining pools. If you're one individual, you can't really mine your own block or get something into the block because the mining pool decides what goes in there. But Monero is much more decentralized, so you can run a computer or a miner, and then you can put your NFT onto Monero. You can put your PDF on it and just wait until you mine a block and get lucky, essentially. So it's not a perfect fix, but when you're trying to do decentralized development like this, I think it's the best one we have right now.
What would you say are the best arguments for not completely deprecating it? For like the reason I said, like things like P2 pool, or just if you want to do stuff like add it to Thorchain, right? There was no easy way to do. I think TX Extra might have been involved in that. Are those basically the reasons why you wouldn't want to remove it, because it allows for increased development and integrating with Monero TX Extra?
I would say that's one argument, but I think the more convincing argument, at least for me, is that people would just do other things that would be detrimental to the network, right? Because those devs are really smart, so they can always find a way to work around. If you remove TX Extra, they won't be impacted too much, but it'll take some development. They'll be back up and running. But the big issue, if you remove it, right, and I want to put a PDF on the network, I will simply find some other way to do it. I might embed it in outputs, which would be really bad, right? Because now your wallet will be using my outputs, which would violate your privacy even more so. So there's not against a determined attacker, if there's not really anything you can do to make it impossible, you would just be making it very hard for them, which might work also, right? I don't know how determined the attacker is to put like PDFs on Monero's blockchain, so that might work also, but it's still up in the air. No one knows for sure.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
This will definitely be a question asked at the panel on day one when we have all the devs up there on stage. I'm trying to get maybe Seth for privacy to run that panel, to host that panel. That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I love Seth for privacy. He wasn't in this chat, unfortunately, but he makes really great stuff. He has a really balanced view of the issue. He's really good at talking about different sides and different opinions like that.
Yeah. Kind of like you, man. You're like the new Seth for privacy over here. Skills, man. Skills.
Big compliment.
You're good at breaking it down, understanding it, and explaining it to others. That's the very rare skill to have. Thank you so much, man. Any other things you want to throw out there for this week? We cover the topic.
We basically covered the topic. I would recommend anyone that has questions to drop them below, because it's really important that people don't see this as like, oh, devs talk about that. I don't have an opinion, but I think we are Monero, right? The people make Monero, so you should be informed in your process. This is considered like a democratic process, right? So please ask questions. Please, I can drop links to the GitHub issue. If you have any issues, you should have an opinion about what happens on Monero if you use Monero. So, and you shouldn't let the fear of not being technical enough get in the way of that, because there's so many ways to explain it. So please reach out if you have any questions. This is important for the entire community. Everyone should be able to participate.
Fantastic, man. And yeah, hopefully these weekly dev reports help people in that respect. All right. We're going to move on just because we have a jam-packed show.
Thank you, as usual. Yeah.
Yeah, stick around if you can. If you can't, no worries.
I will.
If you can, please do.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Awesome job today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye. All righty. Let's move on to the guest segment again. Let's we have Nam waiting. Okay, let's put on our little segment again. Let's get people pumped. All right. The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Hello.
There she is.
Oh wait, now you're muted.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi guys.
We can't have Nam on and not have video. I mean, come on.
Oh,
there you go.
It's been a while. I haven't spoken to you guys for so long.
I know. It's been a while, actually,
Yeah,
right?
nice.
I mean, I guess we
been a
all
while.
communicate via like Twitter and stuff, but
Yeah.
now we're having a conversation, so it's nice.
You guys have been really busy.
We have. I'm sure you've been busy as well. We know you always got a lot on your plate, so
I do. But non-Monero stuff mostly. But you guys have been busy with Monero, I think.
Yes.
Oh yeah, nonstop.
but in a good way. No complaints.
No,
In a
no
good way,
complaints.
A few complaints.
A few complaints. A little overwhelming complaints, but figure it out.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nam? You think you might be coming down to? I don't want to put you on the spot on the show. You could, but what do you think? What are the chances you'll be at Monerotopia? What do we got? What are the odds?
In May, right?
Yes.
Early May. I'm planning for it, so
Okay.
I hope it all works out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring you on because we saw you. Obviously, there's some big news coming out of Dubai. We mentioned it in the last show, and we know that you run the Dubai Monero Meetup. Or you're attempting to kind of get some traction over there. I don't know what's going on now with it, but
I don't know if we should call it the Dubai Monero Meetup or the former Dubai Monero Meetup.
Exactly, whatever it's gonna be. You tell us. So what's going on over there?
So the regulatory authority in Dubai that was set up last year, they basically came out like a year later in their existence, and they've said that any privacy enhancing cryptocurrency like Zcash and Monero, they always name the two together, are not allowed in Dubai anymore. They're prohibited, and sale, purchase, any related activities. So that would include meetups. That would include any kind of any activity related to Monero. So when you have Bitcoin events and conferences, blah blah. Similarly, you won't be able to have Monero related stuff here. But that puts me to recall.
So no alcohol and no Monero.
No.
Alcohol, yeah.
Can you drink alcohol?
Yeah, there's plenty of alcohol here.
Okay, but isn't like in certain regions or something? I don't know enough about Dubai.
I mean,
they have a lot of rules there, right? There's a lot of rules. Is that fair to say? There's compared to, let's say,
you guys were gonna come in Jan.
Yes.
Yeah, we're like yeah.
Now I don't know. I don't know if I want to support that economy, right? Why show up in go hang out in a dystopia over there? I mean, so what is the response from? I mean, obviously a lot of people don't even know Monero, but those in crypto that that are in crypto that are in Dubai, are they like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened? Or they're like, yeah, whatever.
So,
we didn't like Monero anyway because it was going to get regulated, and we just number go up Bitcoin.
Okay, so 99% people that are in crypto in Dubai are the number go up. They're looking at ecosystems that are proof of stake. They're looking at different kind of blockchain functionalities that aren't necessarily proof of work. So DeFi stuff, metaverse stuff. Crypto in Dubai is not. It's not even Bitcoin focused. Bitcoin is there. It's the largest market cap, but crypto in Dubai it's all metaverse, it's all Web3. It's going further into that sort of realm of crypto. So I don't think anybody's really affected here except for my co-host who was hosting with the Monero meetups with me and the wider ecosystem. We did do one event last year, the only event that we start off with it. Then the year turned, and then we were going to start off again in March. So, and then this news came. So for now, we're going to stop our activities. We're definitely not going to be Dubai Monero meetups. We're just probably going to continue as crypto meetups. They already do. So there's tons of crypto groups here. So we'll just continue, meeting up, I guess once a quarter and discussing the wider crypto related stuff. We're definitely not going to put Monero in the limelight or have, it's not like you cannot say the word Monero in Dubai. I don't think the focus will be Monero, at least not. So I'm probably not going to be doing any presentations that are Monero focused like I would do at Monerotopia or another proof of work Monero conference. But so for example, Coin Bureau Guy, his name's Guy, right?
Yeah.
I saw he was on he was a guest on podcast 2 days ago, I think, and he was talking about a recent event here in Dubai that was the Satoshi Roundtable, and this guy was present at the conference, and there was another person, I think David Chom from one of the early, from eCash, right?
Yeah.
So one of the earliest cypherpunks, and they had a conversation about Monero, and he was discussing it on the podcast just 2 days ago. So it's not like conversation about Monero has ended. It does come up here and there. Obviously, we know that Coin Bureau does. Coin Bureau has moved here to Dubai, and they cover all crypto.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big supporter of Monero. Like I think he said it's one of his top 4 cryptos is Monero. That's interesting, and I forgot he's in Dubai.
Yeah, he moved here. So a lot of crypto influencers and a lot of crypto personalities are here now, but and like, let's say what happens with Binance, right? It's the largest exchange in the world. You can buy Monero on it. A lot of people here use Binance for buying and selling. What will they do? Now, I was thinking, how would they approach it if Dubai comes out and says we're banning or prohibiting the sale and purchase of Monero? So I guess if you're a user that signed up to Binance using your UAE credentials, your UAE KYC and all that, then maybe they're just not going to give you the option to buy or sell Monero. I don't know, because my stuff was like my Binance stuff was Oman related. So Oman's a country I used to live in, right next door. I don't see any change on my Binance like functionality as far as Monero or as far as anything else. But I'm not sure how they would go about the whole we're prohibiting the buying and selling. But for now, I know that the meetups are not going to be called Monero meetups. I have to probably update all of that stuff on our socials. But yeah, you know what? In the earlier days, India, China, and so many large economies had banned Bitcoin. And those things got unbanned as time went on, and they realized there's not going to be any stopping this. And it's a phenomenon that's taken off, and it's not going to stop. And I think the same thing's going to happen here. A few years down the line, they're going to be like, oh, we weren't able to stop this. I mean, this is not even a drop in the ocean, a country like UAE. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's just, given the global demand for cryptocurrency, one small country banning it or something, I don't think it makes any difference to it. It's not going to stop like Monero's popularity or growth. But yeah, of course, you have to respect the local regulations and things, and we'll be doing that until it's unbanned in the future, and I'm sure it will be. I think it's a matter of time.
Yeah, it pissed me off though. I mean, obviously, I would say, because you wouldn't want you getting in trouble, right? So, but me personally, I'd be very apprehensive to comply with such a rule. Is there any like political process over there? I mean, here, right? Like if this happened in New York, I'd be out on the streets, right? Not that anybody would do anything, but I would be out there, and I'd legally, I wouldn't have to worry about, a van pulling up and throwing me in there and taking me away and disappearing. I'd at least be able to go out there and be like, fuck you, government. You can't take this away from us. We have the freedom to transact. We have code of speech, whatever. Privacy is a human right. Like if you went out there in Dubai, what would happen? I'm not suggesting you do. I'm just curious. If somebody were to do that, like what
no, don't suggest such stuff.
What are the rules? What are the laws? So you're not even allowed to kind of voice your opinion against government laws there? Is it like are things that crazy over there?
I mean, honestly, it's a highly regulated space. This is a city. It's a city country. I mean, yeah, there's a few cities nearby. None of them are as big as Dubai. So you have Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Al Ain, Fujairah, Ajman, like a few emirates. Tiny little villages, I guess. Abu Dhabi is slightly bigger than the rest. But yeah, honestly, it's very close. It's closely regulated, and there's no it's not a democracy, right? So for all the flaws of democracies, there's some sort of freedom that people do have to voice their opinions, come out on the street, protest. There's none of that here. You don't see it. There's no protest blocking the roads. Barcelona, I remember living there, and we'd have protests like every other week. The main streets would be blocked for some protest or the other. None of that here. There's no there's no plazas or like town squares with microphones and lots like large gatherings with people like riling everybody else up against something or the other. None of that happens here. It's not allowed, I don't think. So you just kind of come here, get your IDs done, and get your paperwork done, your driving license, put your kids in schools, and then try and just divert your mind from the fact that you're not in a country where you're going to be deciding anything. Rules are going to be set and they're going to just be imposed on you and you're going to accept them, or you just go away. But on the other hand, this is a nice, safe place. There's no, the crime rate is low and you have a pretty decent standard of living. There's benefits. And, I grew up in this region. This is my home. Like not this particularly, but Oman's next door from here, like 4 hours down the road. But yeah, and so for that reason, it's just it's just what I know. And
sure, it's your home. It's like where you come from. Not that particular, but that area of the world, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's kind of where I grew up, and I did grow up basically without any rights. And so I'm not the protesting type, I kind of just, I'm like, okay, this is the new rule. Fine. We're going to have to deal with it. So you just kind of go on with life when something like this now is announced. But, I've never had a rule that impacted me directly. So I feel like I'm the only one doing Monero meetups in Dubai. So then if somebody has to be, I don't know, picked up and put into a van, that'd probably be me. So I hope that doesn't happen.
We don't want that. But if they do, I'm coming for you. I'll promise you that. I'll do everything I can to help get you out.
I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's very scary though. Like I understand where you're, and obviously, for all the reasons you're saying, you just have to go with the flow because you're just one person. But that's what's so scary about it, right? Because it's like boiling frogs, right? Nobody jumps out the water. They just slowly turn up the heat. And yeah, granted, Dubai is just one small country, but do they kind of represent where the world is headed, right? And it is kind of a dystopia there, right? Like people have great lives. There's a lot of wealth there. There's no crime, but you're not allowed to use Monero. But, the government has totalitarian control over everyone, right? And it's great because, there's no crime. But do you really own anything at the end of the day? There's all this wealth, but can the government swoop in and take it away from you at a moment's notice? Like even property and things like that. If they could tell you, you can't use your Monero. So it gets scary because, how does that grow beyond Dubai and become, the law of the land in other places in Europe? And then do they try to eventually do the similar things in America? And, before you know it, nobody really revolts because they have their lives to live, right? And it's just sad to watch the frogs get boiled. It's scary.
Are any other countries going to try and ban privacy enhancing coins? I would say Dubai, UAE probably won't be the only one out of 100 plus countries. So yeah, we might see a few others doing it, but I don't know if I can see the US coming out and banning something like this. And I feel the more they ban these things, the more popular they're gonna get. It's the reverse effect. They don't want it. They don't want to accept it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree. Ultimately, the tech is supposed to be built to be resistant to banning and regulation, right? That it's still going to be unstoppable, and those that want to use it can. But it's hard to watch this political attack and people's reaction to it, which is natural. And that's it's the same thing we saw with COVID, right? And all the COVID rules and regulations. Everybody, the sheep and the masses just went along with it, because they had to. And they want to live their lives.
Yeah.
So we're going to see, unfortunately, we're going to see a similar thing with crypto, I think. How wide that goes, I do not know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know for a fact that Bitcoin was banned in several large economies over the years, over the last decade. And then it was naturally sort of as a natural process of things. It was unbanned eventually in those same places. So I don't see this Monero thing as a permanent. It is a problem for now. Problem in the sense for someone who is pretty enthusiastic about this currency. I definitely don't want to get into any trouble or have any issues. Yeah, I mean, so we'll just, follow the rules and do what we're supposed to here for now until things change. And I'm pretty sure they will. I'm optimistic.
Nam, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time to jump on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and good to see you guys.
Yeah, me too.
See you in person.
I know. Hopefully we'll see you in person. Yeah.
Yes. Hope so.
All right. Be well. Be safe.
Be well. Be well.
Thank you.
Dick got in the. I don't know if you were reading the chats or whatever the comments
section. What is Vic saying?
To Nam, I guess he said, "Oh yeah, right here. Please ask Nam why I don't see her on WhatsApp anymore." So people miss you
because it's illegal. It's illegal to use WhatsApp in Dubai. You haven't heard?
No, I am on it. I don't know what he's talking about.
There you go, Vic. Live on the show.
Maybe
all right.
Ignoring you, Vic. Yeah,
No, I'm not ignoring anybody.
Oh, he's so evil.
I'll talk to him.
Nam, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Yeah,
stick around if you can.
We're gonna have the new Tony come up and do the news. If you want to stick around, please do. You can chime in on the news topics. Otherwise, do what you gotta do.
Please, yeah, because I think it's evening there. So if not, have a really good night and thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it. All right, bye. Take care. Bye. Oakley dokley. Let's move on to the news. Wow, my hair is all over the place here. Not really. Yeah, this whole setup. We gotta work on this. It's like awkward.
Yeah, because we're facing it. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Alrighty, let's move on. And now for our weekly news segment. Tony, you're muted.
Hey guys.
Hi, how's it going?
What's up?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. I like how when you mentioned. So is anybody like if you were to go on the streets in Dubai, I'm not saying that you have to do it, but what if like someone went there and went in Dubai?
You're on your way?
Like you.
Know, right? I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to Please.
All right. We have Ian in the chat. Hey everybody. Hey Twitter. Okay, let's set this thing up.
Want to share your screen?
Share the screen.
Oh, there's. I want to try this option. There's apparently like a music option here.
Music.
I guess while we're waiting for you.
Oh. Okay. So let's get into the news, guys. We mentioned Coin Bureau and the fact that he moved to Dubai, but he still talks about Monero and he really likes Monero. So let's watch this 1 minute video.
I've spoken about it a few times. I haven't actually owned any for a long time. Is Monero.
Oh wow! Really?
Yeah.
Back when the OG Pro was the
real OG. Yeah.
XMR, right?
Yeah. It's easy to forget about, but do you know, I was out last night with some people, including David Chaum, one of the original cypherpunks. I happened to meet him quite by chance because he's been in town for this Satoshi roundtable. Yeah. And Monero came up and he was talking about it and stuff, had some insights that were way over my head. But it has got me thinking about XMR again. And again, it kind of ties in with what I was saying about this lack of trust in governments and in institutions and what have you. I think everyone should have, a stack of some privacy coin. Everyone should be able to transact privately if they want it. And I hear lots of anecdotal evidence about people in London, apparently as much as anywhere else. I think there's a sort of thriving Monero scene there where people transacting for certain things.
I like how he qualified his statement with, I don't own any, haven't heard. He's in Dubai. I don't touch the stuff, but everybody should have a little stash just in case your government.
Never heard of Monero. I don't even have any. If it goes down, I don't even care.
You got to get David Chaum at Monerotopia, man. I had him on the list, but how do you even get in touch with the guy? I don't know.
I know. But let's try with Pomp next week. I'm gonna see him on Wednesday in Miami, so I'm gonna try to chill him. At least
like,
space.
hi.
And we are trying to make contact with Coin Bureau. I mean,
there's a connection there that's just waiting. So
like,
we'll see what happens.
For years, we've been talking,
So,
but there's never been that moment where he comes.
We haven't lost hope.
Yeah, we'll get him.
It will happen.
Yes.
Someday.
But like, why would he move to Dubai? Like, why are these people going to Dubai to do crypto stuff? It doesn't seem like the land of crypto.
Maybe they're spreading the word there.
But I don't know. Things change, though, and we'll talk about something that actually did change in regards to introducing a law and then taking it away. So things change, just like with Portugal. Everybody wanted to move to Portugal because of zero capital gains tax, and I think they introduced it now.
Yeah.
So things change so fast that
Vic is saying I don't own any either. Nice.
All right. Now let's. So for Valentine's Day, the European Central Bank posted a tweet saying, "Roses are red, violets are blue. We will stay the course and return inflation to 200%." I think they missed a couple zeros in their tweet, but I thought it was funny. And then we had some Monero bros, one of them being Inevitable XMR, and he tweeted, "Roses are red, violets are blue. Ponzi will continue. Funds are not safe."
Nice.
Which is really funny. Then let's talk about Coincards. So Coincards overall usage, Bitcoin 34%, XMR 26%. The same numbers, Canada 38%, Bitcoin, I think it went up, and XMR 14%. I think that one went down. Ethereum on 13%, which is interesting. They also use Lightning Network at 2.9%. USA 66.4%, road to 70%. Are we going to see 70% soon? It's slowly creeping up. Bitcoin at 19%. It's such a huge disparity between XMR and Bitcoin. Ethereum 5.2%. Lightning Network, Dogecoin 0%. But it's interesting how in the USA there's always such a huge disparity between XMR and Bitcoin. And I think they also
Monerica, man.
Monerica. And I think they also posted that every single order on Coincards USA today was placed with Monero. That was on February 16th. So huge. And hopefully
they're sponsoring.
Yeah, they're sponsoring Monerotopia
again, even though they can't be there.
They can't be there.
He's going to do a quick 10. We're going to give him a quick 10-minute talk remotely.
Awesome.
He's going to give us his update on Coincards.
I love his pictures. His pictures are always funny. He's a cool dude. Yeah.
He's a cool dude. Great. So now let's talk about Nigeria. And so we talked about the Naira, which is a CBDC from Nigeria. Now the adoption rate was 0.5%. I think that was the number that I've seen last time. And now they're trying to make people to actually use the CBDC. So what is the method that you can implement? And the same thing that they've tried in India is to actually take away cash, make it no longer a legal tender, and then push your CBDC, obviously, as you can see.
They were almost entering you.
This should be Dubai after they're doing the
Jeez.
Yeah, but pretty serious riots. They attack ATMs. They block the roads. So people are pissed. They don't like it. As we've seen in the numbers, like nobody was using the CBDC in Nigeria. Everybody wanted cash, and they took it away. So, and this is also before the elections on the 25th of February. So I think you would want to do something like that after you get elected and not before. But yeah, people are angry and pissed. But CBDCs are not stopping. Russia is going to roll out the CBDC pilot with real consumers. So banks are going to select some consumers. So it's not for the general public yet, but that's for the first phase. That's for the digital ruble in collaboration with 13 local banks. Now they also talked about I'm not sure if this refers to the fact that their CBDC might be gold backed, and they have been hoarding a lot of gold, So maybe their CBDC is going to be gold backed, which means that maybe they're going to have a digital product backed by a digital commodity by gold. So
by gold, yeah.
Interesting.
They're incentivized to move faster, perhaps, than some other countries, given that they're basically being cut off from the SWIFT banking system, right?
Yes.
So the CBDC is right up their alley, right? Especially, gold back, and then try to get the world to adopt it. Interesting.
Yes, and Russia's smart because when they were cut off by the whole world, they said, okay, well, if you want to transact with us, you do it in gold. Or the ruble. So by that, they were hoarding a lot of gold, essentially. So they do have a lot of gold. Bank of Japan launched a CBDC pilot before May. So Japan is also looking into CBDC. And they always mention if this fails, then we'll see what we're going to do. But if you spend, what if their CBDC pilot fails? What, they're going to go back to the traditional system and just stay with that? I don't think so. Everybody needs a digital solution. Obviously, we opt for Monero, but they're not going to stop with the CBDC. If something doesn't work, they're going to try to improve it. So the digital yen is coming. And what I wanted to mention is that the Japanese authorities actually banned foreign stablecoins. But now, talking about incorporating a regulation and lifting it, they might actually lift the ban on foreign stablecoins. Which came into law in 2022. So
and Japan banned privacy coins, much like Dubai, but back in the day, and I don't think that ban was ever lifted, right? You still cannot, I don't think, easily obtain or legally obtain Monero in Japan.
I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think so. Yes. Yeah. So crazy, and then because of regular. What was that? Sorry.
I said I'll go protest on those streets too. It'll be part of my worldwide tour.
We got to do a GoFundMe. We got to see Dog in Japan, Dubai.
They'll do it, guys. They'll do it.
All the countries. But talking about pressure, some privacy coins don't make it, or they have to change, and we have had some in the past. I think one was called Dark Coin, and they switched to being Dash Coin. Then one called Zen, which is to be called Zen Cash in May of 2017. I think they rebranded under the name of Horizon, and this is due to regulations and law enforcement, and they were talking about the shutdown of Tornado Cash and the rest of its lead dev. So they're worried, and they are essentially removing the privacy aspect of it and then going back to other things within their blockchain. So
pretty sad.
Which really accentuates the importance of having a product. If you really want to have true privacy that has no backdoor, then you can't have any weak points. It has to be truly decentralized, just like Monero. There's regulations coming left and right, and I don't think Monero is going to become a public, transparent chain because so and so. No, decentralized. You're gonna have to go for the whole world, So, and if they want to go after me and then Doug and Sunita in New York, then that's really not gonna do anything again. So, yeah.
These projects that are trying to skirt the line and be privacy coins when you need them, but not and align with the regulations of the state. It's just they're creating useless technology at the end of the day.
And I think it's dangerous also because if you advertise privacy, that means that someone else might base their life on your product, right?
Right, and ultimately, why would anybody choose to use this thing if it's not really doing what it was intended to do? It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. So interesting, rebranded, and we'll see where that's gonna go. Then let's talk about Dr. Craig S. Wright, the creator of Bitcoin.
He blocked me today. He blocked me shortly after I tweeted.
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny.
You know what? I don't think you've seen this because I think he actually got back to one of the things that you said, and maybe you didn't see it, so it's gonna be funny for you.
Okay.
But yeah, so this guy claims to create Bitcoin. So he's Satoshi Nakamoto, I suppose. He's a lawyer, economist investor, mathematician, husband. So he believes that Monero acts as a mixer, believes that Monero is not actually private. And he wrote about it extensively. Then people got back at him in the comments, and he explained how it really works. What I didn't really like is that whenever he would explain, sometimes he would use words to put himself above someone else. For example, Doug tweeted. Let's actually go into this because it's actually interesting. So Doug tweeted.
Funny.
Well, yeah. What did he tweet for? It was in response to
because he blocked him, so he wasn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So XMR clearly focused exclusively on the provision of illicit services. So that's his thing. He believes that Monero is solely for illicit services, solely for illicit activities.
Monero can only be used for crime.
Only be used for crime. And then Doug said, well, Monero is focused on being private and untraceable by default, allowing people to use their money without surveillance or censorship. That's like saying Signal is focused exclusively in providing a tool for illicit communication. Is that what you believe too? Which is a perfect comparison. Beautiful. Then he said Monero has nothing to do with the concept of privacy.
Monero has not. So now it doesn't even have anything to do with privacy because we don't even understand what privacy is, guys. It's almost like
nothing.
He's on another planet.
So I'm not sure. It's purely designed for money laundering. So Anon Shop, I'm sorry, but yeah, your service enables illicit activities. If you're saying,
and he never answered my question. So what is his take on Signal?
Signal is purely designed for illicit communications. Try not using a non-sequitur. Signal is encrypted. Encryption does not mean illicit. Monero is purely designed for illicit activity. Try being less dishonest in your approach.
Okay, I got to try to be more like Craig Wright, the honest Craig Wright. If I could somehow summon that within myself to be more like him. Perhaps.
I think the first step is to put creator of Monero in your in your handle.
and I was trying to be so nice to him, and then I said, read my next tweet. I was like, well, why don't you come on the show and we'll talk about it? And then he blocked me after that.
Yeah.
You should like it. Right.
Well, I didn't say anything specifically so that I could see his tweet and talk about it.
He retweeted me and said something. You had some tweet. What is that?
Okay. Let me because then I want to.
Oh, Monero promote. Go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah, let's do that, and then I want to mention one funny thing. It's a good segue because I think let's just go on his profile because I can't find it because he did mention you.
No, I saw it there. It was a retweet.
I think it was
like Monero promoters are dishonest or something.
Yeah. Monero promoters seem to be universally dishonest between special pleading, strawman, and false because typological arguments they resort to loaded questions and eventually bandwagon effects. However, the misuse
that's why he blocked me. So he blocked me before he tweeted that, so I can respond to it. Interesting. Okay, that's really.
Yep. And then the misuse of the word private applies. Monero is not private. If you understand private requires legal frameworks to be followed, then you will start to see that private and secret outside of law and different things. It's taking it philosophically, in my opinion. But if you can see what someone is doing, I think that's a private matter, right? And there's nothing more deep than that. If I can see how you spend your money, then that money is private. And then he talked about, again, Monero is used for illicit activities and money laundering, drug crimes. But now let's talk about how you can use this Monero for illicit. If you go to buy tickets and you go to your general admission ticket, you click on it, and I'll give you guys a tip. If you want to save 10% off, you add to cart, then you go to a cart, you view your cart, and then if you write Tony, because I have my own code, you get 10% off. Tony. That's gonna be $89.
There you go.
That's an illicit purchase you're about to make there, obviously.
Naughty Tony.
If you're using Monero, it has to be illegal.
I was obviously gonna pay in Dogecoin, guys. I wasn't gonna pay in in Monero.
I would love to talk with. Obviously, it wouldn't go anywhere, but I would just try to. He just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
His whole being just doesn't make sense. His whole take on crypto does. What makes less sense to me, and maybe BSV people, if you want to. I mean, I really don't want to have that talk again, but there's a lot of BSV people that are into obviously BSV, and then are also into Monero. Like a lot of people in the anarcho poco crowd, they're like BSV people, but then they also like Monero. So how do they weigh this with the fact that Craig Wright thinks it's a complete, scam tool that's only used for illicit purposes that should be made illegal? How are you a BSV person? I guess so. So Craig Wright is the minority opinion in BSV potentially, and like the majority opinion in BSV is that Monero is okay.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either, and it's just a bold claim of creator of Bitcoin. It's such a strong claim to make.
Yeah, ignoring all that, obviously, which is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but still, it's fun to interact with him and kind of understand what he's ultimately trying to say. Ignoring the fact that he's complete scammer pretending that he invented, or maybe he did. Who knows? The world is a weird place. But then if that's the case, then so Satoshi was not a cypherpunk, guys. That's apparently what he's saying. Completely not a cypherpunk, does not believe in untraceable digital cash, wanted to create a completely traceable, perfectly traceable system.
Yeah, but having said that, don't go to Hungary and take down the statue, okay? Leave it there still. So
oh my gosh.
Even if that's so, then don't remove it.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think we'll have some BSV people down at Monerotopia, I'm sure, because
nice.
Crypto Vigilante will be down there, and he kind of brings that element. So maybe we'll continue to have that conversation.
Yep, beautiful. Now let's mention one Monero maximalist that wrote, "Yo, 10%, let's go." Awesome. The last thing that I want to mention for this week is Chainanalysis Crypto Crime Report for 2023. Which does not even mention crypto coins or Monero, just mentions Bitcoin, the table of contents, introduction, sanctions, ransomware, money laundering, stolen funds, Oracle manipulation attacks, darknet markets. But if we do, if we type Control F and we type in Monero, there's no mentions. Now, would that be because you can't see? Obviously, you can see the amount, so you can see how much exactly was purchased with Monero, or I'm curious to why it wasn't even mentioned, or not even, I think, privacy coins, nothing, not even a single mention. So
yeah, it's not mentioned because their tool, they can't offer a service that integrates with it, so they have nothing to sell with regards to Monero. That's why it's not mentioned. They can't be like, look, and this also works for tracking and tracing Monero. It doesn't. So let's pretend it doesn't exist, and then we, prevent all money laundering and everything else with Bitcoin.
There's plenty of mentions of Bitcoin, and I think I told the story. But I was in Miami. I was in a Solana party, and I was talking to this guy, and he didn't work for Chainanalysis. He worked for Elliptic. Yeah. And I asked him, like, okay, so we can track Monero, and he's like, yeah, we can track Monero, we can track Ethereum. And I said, what about Monero? And he's like, yeah, no, we can't do that. We can't. We just can't. So this was this week's news, everybody. The links are in the description if you want to check it out. Again, 10% using the promo code Tony. If you want,
I brought it up to 20, so 20%.
20%. Wow, okay.
Tony, the special 20%.
I did.
Wow.
General admin.
It's pretty much impossible to forget the code too.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Tony.
For general admin, because VIP tickets are running out.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, Monero Maximalist wrote WTF, so I think he purchased it when it was 10%.
Oh no! All right, let me.
That's funny.
I'll give you the money back. Just DM me.
All right.
All righty.
That was great.
Yeah.
So
nice.
normally this is the viewers on. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah, stick
Thanks,
around.
guys. Bye.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you.
There are a bunch of people in the Twitter chat. I guess, guys, on Twitter right now, raise your hand if you wanna comment, and then I'll go in the spaces. Otherwise, if I'm gonna go in there and everybody's just gonna not have things to say, we won't jump in there. So go ahead right now on Twitter Spaces if there's something you have some burning question or comment that you wanted to say. Please put your hand up now.
Such an odd thing to say.
Give you 30 seconds. I don't see any hands going up. There is a little.
Wait, hold
bit
on.
of a
I
delay,
can put on
though.
a little music here. So let's see this one. That's kind of putting people to sleep.
While we wait, you can calmly decide. I don't see any hands. Oh no, I'm seeing requested. All right, I'm seeing a request. All right, so let's do the viewers on stage section, and we'll jump in there. I don't have too much time to hang around because I gotta go grab my daughter.
All righty.
All right, so it's that time of the show. Let's do it. Viewers on stage, and we'll move over to the spaces, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go log in here. Let's see.
You're really skilling it today, I gotta say.
This little jam. Well, yeah. While I transition here, because I gotta see how. Dance pop. What do you guys think about this tune? They start dancing. Share screen. All right, so I'll be sharing this. All right, so I'm gonna have to mute myself over here. We'll be sharing this. All right, so I'm gonna have to mute myself over here.
Are you shared?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, guys, let me bring people up. We got Bawdy, Emmanuel, Gabriel. What's going on, guys?
Hello, Emanuele Nuska, the politicator here.
How are you, Emmanuel? What's going on?
Nice, very nice. All good here. Listening to this conversation. I'm a kind of those BSB guys you were talking about before.
Perfect.
So I came up because today I was just reading and commenting that topic that you were reading just few minutes ago. Craig Bright talking bad about Monero, this and that. If you go to the end, you will find a few comments, my comments, and the discussion which is going on with him and with anyone else from the so-called crypto world. That well, it's a shamble because no one still wants to admit that politics rules everything first, and so we need to go be political, discuss, come to agreements, because money overall, and first of all, is that a political agreement. So none of this crypto crap he invented to me, doesn't matter which, will work until we decide which platform we want to use, what for, and that will be regulated, and that one not. It's all up to us all, okay? So this is the game. So that's what I want to say to you, to anyone. That's what I'm daily saying from 10 years to anyone. No one wants to listen to me, of course, because it's the last thing that anyone wants to be heard, but it's the first thing that anyone will have to do if we really want to move forward with all these good things we have. That's all. Thank you very much. I'm available.
So, Emmanuel, so then what's your take? Do you agree with Craig Wright that, Monero is only a tool for illicit purposes?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, because then, in fact, we went into this drug problem. Guys, we have to address that. We want fucking drug. People want to buy, people want to use, people want to sell, people want to do anything. You know, but if there is someone among us people that wants to do anything, that wants to rule others, or just to speculate, or just for moralism, or just for other fucking things, like I think a little bit Craig Wright is. In fact, I always drag him into this, into this problem, you know, is in a kind, but many people is in the save the world mentality, bad things are bad, you know, without maybe even knowing, you know. So in that, he's generally, to me, wrong, just because he wants to save someone that doesn't want to be saved, you know. So, but this is a problem which stands above all the issue we are talking about. But we have to solve that problem. If we do not solve that problem, of course, we will continue to exist thousands of crypto, people making, you know, bad deal, good deal, doesn't matter, people that, you know, the mess we are already living. This is my take.
And so would you say the majority of BSV people agree with Craig in his assessment of Monero, or is that the minority opinion?
I don't know, and I think it's useless to know this. I mean, well, I don't know. I would say, okay. I don't know.
Fair enough. Bawdy, I think you had some commentary on this. I know you were down in Acapulco. You kind of have your finger on the pulse of the BSV community. Just curious what your take is.
Yeah, they seem very friendly. I mean, I think anyone that knows me knows that I sometimes tend to be a bit pejorative. So I kind of had to be careful and, you know, not be an asshole, not say things kind of, you know, like poking at them or whatever. But they're really friendly towards Monero, and the fact that they are friendly does inspire, you know, friendliness in return. I remember talking with Rolf a little bit, and he definitely disagreed with some of the things that I said, but, you know, and he explained his position as well. But I mean, I think we should make friends wherever we can, you know. I have thick skin, so hopefully most other people do too. And hopefully we can continue to have conversations back and forth on why Monero is important. And, you know, obviously we think Monero is significantly superior to BSV. But we do have kind of this problem where we all know that, let's suppose the world decided to try and adopt Monero tomorrow, right? And we're trying to run like Visa levels of transactions, even with dynamic blocks and all of our, you know, the efficiencies that we have for transactions and whatnot. It would be very difficult to say that we could service Visa level transactions and still have everyone running their own node. So there's kind of like a little bit of overlap there. I think, you know, I think it's reasonable, and I think the guys are cool guys. They're good guys. So we should definitely like engage them. We should definitely be friends with them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what I was trying to be as nice as I possibly could to Craig. I mean, but you know, a lot of the all the Anarcho-Poco BSV people I enjoy hanging out with and talking to. They're all like very open-minded people. I think it comes with the territory of, you know, being a self-proclaimed anarchist. You know, it's open-mindedness, open to openly discussing new ideas. But what I'm struggling with is this concept of, you know, the leader of BSV basically outright saying Monero is only used for illicit purposes, and therefore, you know, it's ethically immoral essentially for it to exist. How the general BSV community weighs that, and whether or not he is the minority opinion, or, you know, there are a lot of BSV people that agree with him. And then if they do, I'm trying to understand like why, how. That's what I'm trying to get to. Not that it even matters at the end of the day, but it's kind of the.
No, I mean, it's a totally valid question. Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of like he shouldn't be saying that kind of stuff. He shouldn't be like, I mean, he kind of just said a whole bunch of untruths about Monero in that thread. So like, it's kind of like, you know, when your leaders are, I understand like everyone makes mistakes and whatnot, but like when your leaders are going that far off the path, you really have to ask questions about the projects they're running.
Exactly. Gabriel, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it all? What y'all doing?
Good, good.
I don't know a whole bunch about BSV, but I guess what I've only learned about it is from one Raf's videos on Crypto Vigilante. But isn't what he's speaking about is building basically protocols off chain, like, and maybe just correct me where I'm wrong, but this is where I kind of, the way I understand it, and I'll use this example, whereas say the cloud services that offered, data storage, that you could potentially not even have to pay for that, and just use it for free and store your data on chain, and BSV being the best vehicle for that. Is that correct?
I don't follow BSV well enough. I was just trying to struggle to understand how.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Give a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Gabe, you can't hear me? I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know enough about BSV to kind of comment on that. I was just trying to get to the root of understanding why there's a sector of the BSV community that just thinks Monero is its only purpose is for illicit purposes, and therefore, is a technology that essentially shouldn't exist in the eyes of a sector of the BSV community. I'm just trying to understand how large that sector is, because I know there's quite a few BSV people who use and see purpose in Monero, especially because they kind of see BSV as a tool for ultimate transparency, and Monero the opposite, which serves utility in providing people protection from the state. Lip, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Doug? When he said that comment, it reminded me of what JP Morgan did. He said Bitcoin was horrible, and then they just announced.
I think I lost the connection.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Gabe, go ahead and mute yourself. I think we're having some issues with communicating. Gabe, if you don't mind muting yourself. Go ahead, Lip.
Yeah, what I was saying was that reminded me of like some JP Morgan type of stuff. JP Morgan said he's not touching Bitcoin, it's horrible. Now it's out that he's buying Bitcoin. So that's how I look at that.
I got you. I hear you.
I was making it right.
Anybody else want to? Anybody else want to jump up, throw some commentary in? Otherwise, we'll close this out for the day. Anybody want to comment on TX Extra? We spoke about it on the show. There's been a debate among the Monero devs whether or not it's something that should be deprecated or it should be limited in other ways. If anybody has any commentary there, it's definitely a hot topic. Paul, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so first of all, I kind of have to eat my words from some stuff I said a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh, you can't do this on Monero. Like, nope, wrong, Bawdy. Totally fucking wrong, bro. With that out of the way, I've been learning a little bit more about this. And one thing that some of the terminology people might not understand, you might have heard the term steg, which stands for steganography. Now, generally speaking, steganography is when you embed data into like an image or a video and you sort of hide data out in the open. Because if you have say an encrypted container, it's very obvious that that's an encrypted container and there's probably something juicy in there. So what a lot of people will do is they'll embed encrypted data into an image so that you can't even tell it's there. Now, the way that we're using steganography in this context for Monero is that if transaction extra was completely removed, you can still put data onto the Monero blockchain by using outputs. Like you could do one transaction that has, maybe 10 or 12 outputs or something like that, and you could embed your data into those outputs. And that wouldn't be encrypted data necessarily. So they're just using steganography to mean that they're embedding data in a place where, the intention is for something else. So it's kind of like a little bit looser usage of the term. So that's something I learned recently. And so the debate is that, okay, if you get rid of transaction extra, then people are just going to be they're going to be embedding data in the outputs. And then apparently you can also do this with bulletproofs, like you can somehow embed data into bulletproofs. So it's kind of a tough question because if people really, really want to, they're going to be able to embed data, arbitrary data in the Monero blockchain one way or another. there's kind of a debate. There's a bit of uncertainty over how practical that really is and whether or not that gets priced out. So there's kind of like an idea that maybe we could increase the fees for transaction extra for specifically that field of data. But then if you increase them too much, you might encourage people to go use steganography. So anyways, just some of the stuff that I've learned recently, maybe helps other people learn a few things too.
Yeah, all good points. I mean, when I had that guy, Kurt, actually the BSV guy on Monerotopia, and he had asked me, can you do, this was a couple of weeks ago, can you do NFTs on Monero? And my answer was, I believe it is possible, but I don't think the Monero community would ever want to do that. And then I was actually criticized for saying I believe you could, but apparently you can. This technology is, at the end of the day, it's not black and white, right? So it's and I think Anon Shop did a good job at describing it, and if people want to do something in a way that involves manipulating the code, there's always things that can be done. But I think the ultimate protection in Monero against it being quote unquote misused for these purposes, with the fear that it would be, lead to a less fungible currency, is that everybody in Monero is on board with what the mission of it is, which is creating true digital fungible cash. So I think that's kind of the safe gap there. That's what keeps Monero protected, is that overall the community agrees that that's what we need to strive for in terms of development, and then decisions get decided around that. So that's why I always, my confidence doesn't get lessened where if somebody said, oh wait, but technically you could use it for this, when I feel like the vast majority of the community wouldn't do that, and the developers would then pivot away from allowing that to happen. Anon Shop, you want to throw in any commentary based on what Bawdy was saying? Go ahead, Lip.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on those two topics, and maybe y'all two can help me on that. So, Doug, you got me into BSV, and when I say into it, I mean just researching. And now I even piggyback to Bitcoin. So, what I learned with
I don't want to be responsible for getting into BSV, man. Don't put that one on me.
Research.
Okay.
Research.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about this research. So the blocks, right? Just like Monero. So we were looking at how they were putting JPEGs on the blocks, and you could do many more things with it, right? Like, I'll give you an example. You could put a patent in the blocks of Bitcoin and maybe even BSV. So now we looking to see how can you implement that on Monero? Like putting patents and land registers on top or in the blocks of Monero. Anybody got any comments on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a potential use case. Like I said, I feel like, in Monero, by and large, the vast majority of people think the focus should be on maintaining Monero's fungibility and its utility as digital cash, and kind of trying to stay away from those other use cases, not because they're not interesting things, but because they could potentially harm the core use case of Monero, which is digital cash. Anon Shop, you want to throw some words in?
Okay, y'all hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible on the Monero blockchain today, right? Someone put an entire PDF on the chain. So, I mean, you can just hash it and throw it in TX Extra and you're good to go. But I think Doug has on to a good point about how the community probably doesn't want that, and they will fight you if you try to do something like that. I just don't know how that fight will transpire since it's, highly technical. Like Monero talked about, like steganography. Like the battle will be crazy. So, but Doug has a good point. The community definitely will fight you on that.
Yeah, I even brought up a Bitcoin or a BSV as an example. Meaning, you saw how they was doing the JPEGs, and the more of the story is, however they do it, the code could still work and people could still get their rewards. So now it's like, what service are you going to use it as? As Bitcoin has something called Bitcoin scripts. So it's putting metadata inside of the blocks. So let's say you're a company right now and you want to, I'm not responsible for licensing and all that, so y'all do your own research. But I'm saying, let's imagine you're a company and you want to issue something permanently, like a land register or a trust, or even a patent, right? I'm saying if you could store that in the block, in the metadata, which you could use that for different purposes. And it depends on how you implement it. It may not slow down the blocks. So that's something that we all should come as a community and look into it. But other people are doing that. So it don't depend on just one individual or group.
I mean, you could do that on the Monero blockchain, but it will hurt your privacy. I know you referenced on BSV. I don't know if they took into account the privacy issue of that, but that would definitely hurt Monero's privacy, right? Because every transaction will look different or might look different. So that's just one downside to doing something like that.
Okay, that's reasonable. But yeah, I think Monero is sound money though, so maybe BSV might be better for that.
Exactly. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up unless anybody has any last words, important something that they want to say. Anybody that's up here speaking. I see Gabe is requesting. Gabe, I'll let you chime in one last time. You didn't have a good connection before, but any last comments you want to say before I close it out, Gabe? No, I think he's having trouble. All right, guys. I'm going to close this out. Obviously, once again, grab your Monerotopia tickets. If you haven't already, you could use the redeem code Tony at checkout to get 20% off. Hope to see everybody down there. We'll see you guys next week, same time, every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Cheers. Later.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.